Good morning. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be here. I'm here to worship and praise with you today, but most of all, I'm here to praise my Father in heaven for what He's done for me. My name is Kenny, and I was born and raised in a small town in South Jersey, just outside of Atlantic City. It was a wonderful place to grow up and be a kid. You know, it's a tourist town, a lot of people through there, and I just had a great life as a kid. In 1969, tragedy struck my family. My little sister was hit and killed by a car on Halloween, and it separated us. My mom left, my father went to another state. My grandmother was left to raise the kids by herself, and that was a pretty hard thing to do with a bunch of rebellious children. But she did the best she could, but we basically were on our own. I was catching a bus at a very young age to the boardwalk in Atlantic City, hustling, street hustling. I got involved with gangs and just groups of people that I shouldn't have been involved with. There was a lot of trouble in school and stuff, and finally, I was about 13 years old. My father came back and took control. But I had pretty much been set in my ways by then, and he tried to raise us with the iron fist, but it didn't work out too well. You know, he busted us up right good, but, you know, we went on. But it just made me more rebellious. I started running away from home. This scared everybody in the family. They didn't know what was going to happen to me. Continuing to run, hitchhike all the way to Florida and stuff at 14 to 15 years old. Finally, the state got involved and they put me in a juvenile center. Kept me there until I was close to 18. Right after my 17th birthday, they offered me the opportunity to go into the Army. And I took it. I went in, and it was the best move I ever made in my life. I got more education, and I grew up more there and learned more about responsibility than I ever had anywhere else. I felt that that's where I wanted to be, and that's where I needed to be. You know, playing with the big guns. I was in the infantry, but I was also a 155 cannon crewman. And I'll tell you, I wish I'd have never got out, but I did. I went on back home. A girl that I was with had gotten pregnant, and I felt that it was my responsibility to take care of that. So I went home and got a job. Started raising a child. I was doing really, really well. Had a good job. I felt like a real man. Felt blessed. And in 1983, my own daughter died in a car accident, and my life was devastated. I was destroyed at that point. I turned to drugs and alcohol, and back to the friends that I knew from the street. Got involved in an outlaw motorcycle club. I was with them for 12 years. Involved in trucking. I was back and forth up and down the East Coast, West Coast, wherever I could go to just get away from everybody and everything. And I stayed high, stayed drunk. I did everything I could to just forget about what had happened. In 92, I got a phone call that my brother, my closest brother, he's 1 year younger than me, was in a really bad accident, broke his neck, and he was paralyzed from the chest down. Once again, I went home. I tried to take care of him, but the alcohol and the drugs was just overwhelming. I was trying to ease the pain from watching him suffer, till finally they wanted me to leave to learn how so he could take care of himself. But in 1989, in the middle of a drug transaction, I was shot. I carried a bullet in my arm, not as a reminder of what happened, but as a reminder of God's grace and mercy. In 97, in the middle of another drug transaction, in a heated argument, I kicked the door in on a man. He pulled a 12-gauge shotgun out on me, pulled the trigger, and it misfired. I thought to myself, oh my God. You know, I think then how lucky I was, but I still wasn't recognizing God's grace at that time. In 2000, I was caught in a car fire. Car exploded on me while I was working on it. I was stuck in, it was an old junkyard. I was pulling the rear end out. A man wasn't even supposed to be in that junkyard. He's already been threatened by the law. If he gets caught up in there again, he was going to jail. But he pulled me out of that fire anyway. He could have easily went the other way. Still not recognizing God's grace. I continued still drinking and drugging. I ended up going to prison. Did an 8.5-year bid for the state of Virginia. Got out, started living the same life. Then one night, on October the 8th, 2011, the candle was lit inside of me. I was laying there on the floor, had just done an overdose, been drinking and drugging for 3 days straight. I overdosed, couldn't breathe, laid on that floor. I was alone in a trailer in the woods by myself. All I kept thinking while I was laying there, I felt that I was dying, that I was going to die alone in the middle of nowhere, and nobody would really care. I got to thinking to myself, what a dark place it was. And that nobody would find me for months until the landlord come around looking for the rent would probably be the next time. And I didn't know what to say. I was overwhelmed at that point. But I was at that point where it was okay to die. I felt like if that's what was going to happen, and that was just what's going to happen, but I was scared. And that Dad just started calling out, Lord, please don't let me go out like this. Please, I know I've been a burden. I know I've sinned some great sins, and at times in my life I don't believe that I should ever been forgiven. I didn't think that I should be forgiven for the life I lived, but he forgave me. But at that very moment, I felt an amazing thing happen. Every hair on my body just stood up. It's like goosebumps on top of goosebumps, and I felt a presence in that room, and I knew there was somebody there. And it was like an embrace, like your father would embrace you, your mother would embrace you, whatever. But I felt that around me. I felt and pulled up to my knees. And I've never felt like that. I never felt like anything like that. I knew that God was in that room. I knew that the Holy Spirit was lifting me. And at that very moment when I've submitted and I said, Lord, I'll do whatever it is that you want me to do. You take my life from this point on, and you lead me and you tell me where you want me to go, and I'll do it. And I won't look back. And he did exactly that. He took my life that day. And I felt it. Because I've been a drug and alcoholic for so many years. I've been through many programs, and every one of them failed because I wasn't really about it. I was just trying to clean up for a little while. And I've never been able to go through a recovery program. I've never been able to go through a detox program from alcohol without being hospitalized. First time was like 17 days. The second time was 27 days in detox and in intensive care. I almost died from alcoholism. But that night, there was no withdrawal. I never went into a recovery program. I never went to a detox. The desire for the alcohol or drugs was lifted from me immediately. As soon as I asked him for forgiveness and for him to take my life, he took the drugs and alcohol as well. My life has never been the same, and it will never be the same. He gave me a new life. Old Kenny died on that floor, but the new Kenny got up and walked away. I got on the phone and called a friend of mine because I didn't want to stay there. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to live like that there. He came and got me. He's a pastor of a church. He once tried to save me a long time ago, and tried many times. We were friends for years, but he was the first one. He came and got me. Took me to a place called the Bridge Ministry where I spent 6 months. The Bridge Ministry is up on top of a mountain. They have no televisions, no telephones, and no radio. The only thing you have is a Bible and a small room that you spend to yourself and some mandatory groups. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I got to learn that word. That's where I built my foundation. The foundation in a relationship with Jesus Christ started that. And it's gotten stronger and better ever since. I left there. I wanted to go and start doing some service for the Lord. I wanted to do some work for him because he has done so much for me. So I went to the Union Mission in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. And there I became their cook. I went into their men's program for homelessness. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew I was a good cook, or a decent cook anyway. As you can tell, I don't miss too many, you know. And I started being out cook for them, and I became part of their program. I stayed there in their program. I graduated. I graduated the program in March the 15th, 2013, and for the first time in my life, I got married. I got married March 16th. Never been married, never really thought about it, but I got married. And she's been a blessing to me as well. She's helped me stay focused. And we struggle, yes, but the Lord is doing so much for us. I've gotten a chance to speak at 2 universities, one of them twice. I've spoken to a number of groups of kids that come through the mission. The Lord continues to work on me. He continues to show me. I got a small ministry of about 745 people a month that I minister to. I feed, I put food boxes together for people who come in a program called the co-op program up at the mission. We get out about 740 to 750 boxes. I've gotten a chance to speak to some of y'all here, and I've just been truly blessed in the last 3 years, clean and sober, and doing His work, starting a ministry and trying to start a 12-step spiritual program for recovering addicts and guys coming out of prison who don't have anything. But most of all, I want to say that my Lord and Savior has truly, truly given me a new life. And it's not one that I take lightly now. I know how important it is to recognize the struggles that we go through, each and every one of us, all the time. You know, the struggles that our young people have each and every day. You know, the peer pressures and stuff that go on for them, I see it. I try to speak to as many as I can. I try to tell them that the life that I lived is not the life that they should ever try to live. That they should allow God to lead them all the time. But most of all, my time in prayer is the time that I feel the closest to the Lord. He's truly helped me, and I am so, so blessed. And I want to thank you so much for allowing me to share that with you today. God bless you.